Thank you. I'd like to call to order the Lakewood City Council meeting of Monday, March 2nd, 2026. Ms. Schumacher, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brandstetter has been excused. Councilmember Lauricella.
Here.
Councilmember Lindholm.
Here.
Councilmember Pearson.
Here.
Councilmember Talbot.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
Here.
And Mayor Boki.
Here.
You have a
So I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but before that, we'll have a short moment of silence in honor of our men and women in military who are in conflict again. Thank you very much. First, we have a proclamation tonight recognizing March 2026 as American Red Cross Month. And the American Red Cross has played an important role for the last, Mr. Bleich will tell us this in a minute here. And so we'll call on Mr. Larry Bleich, Community Leader of American Red Cross South Puget Sound and Olympics Chapter. And Councilmember Lindholm will read the proclamation, and then we will follow with a photo.
Whereas, for more than a century, the American Red Cross has been at the forefront of helping Americans prevent, prepare for, and respond to large and small disasters. And whereas, families and communities depend on the Red Cross in times of need, and the Red Cross depends on American people to sustain the foundation. And whereas, in the city of Lakewood, the American Red Cross works tirelessly through its volunteers to support us when disaster strikes, when someone needs life-saving blood or the comfort of a helping hand. And whereas the American Red Cross provides 24-hour support to members of the military and veterans and their families, and provides training in CPR, aquatic safety, and first aid. And whereas the city of Lakewood formally recognizes the American Red Cross and its critical humanitarian role in our community, and honors the South Puget Sound and Olympics Chapter for its contribution to making the city a better place. Now, therefore, the Lakewood City Council do hereby proclaim March 2026 as American Red Cross Month and urges all residents to support its mission and join in the commitment to giving back to the community. Proclaim this second day of March 2026.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for everything here tonight. I just want to give a little bit of overview of some things. First of all, my name's Larry Bleich. I'm a community volunteer leader. And what that means is during what we call blue sky, which is when there are no major disasters happening across the country, I get to do things like get proclamations, run blood drives, be the face of the community. But on the other hand, when we have disasters, which are becoming more prominent throughout the year, I put on another hat, and that's what we call gray skies. And I'm an executive elected official liaison, where I meet with all elected officials all the way up to the White House and give them a good understanding of what we're doing as Red Cross to help the communities get through everything. As you know, we do all the sheltering, the feeding, spiritual care, health care, so reunification, get people back on their feet from what is and has been the worst days of their lives. But what I had never done in the 10 years I've been with the Red Cross is deploy right here in my own state. That was until December. As you may recall, in December, we had the atmospheric rivers and we had substantial flooding right here in our own community. Well, whereas normally I would go to the major disasters, this was major enough and it was in my community, so I felt vested to go. And what I observed was something I've never observed before. Whereas Red Cross always is received quite well in communities, in Washington State, we were received better than any place I've ever been. And what I saw was community come together. Whereas Red Cross is there to always do what we do, we had community constantly calling me, asking me, what can we do to help? We're not impacted here, but we know we are up north. Normally, we can't take in a lot of goods and such. We're not set up for that. But this was in December. And what I observed when I went to all our shelters was a lot of kids in those shelters that did not have a Christmas. All their gifts were flooded away. So what I said to everybody who called, all the municipalities, go out and buy Christmas gifts. The kids need them. The outpouring the next day was something I've never seen before. And what we did was called Operation Santa. And they went to every one of our shelters and gave these kids a Christmas they will never forget. So that's not necessarily in our playbook that we do those kind of things, but that just shows what community does. And it made me very proud not only to be a Red Crosser, but to be a Washingtonian. So thank you for this recognition. And know that if you are ever in a disaster, your friends will be here along with the Red Cross. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll meet down here for a picture. Up next is the Youth Council report. So we were looking for Daniela De Jesus and is it Nyla Collins? Neela Collins? Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, Mayor Boki, Deputy Mayor Bell, and Council. My name is Daniela De Jesus. I'm an 11th grader at Clover Park High School, and I'm honored to be here tonight representing the Lakewood Youth Council. February was a month full of heart and service for the Lakewood Youth Council. We kicked off the month by creating handmade Valentine's cards. Together with members of the City of Lakewood Community Collaboration, we delivered over 100 cards to seniors at the Oaks at Lakewood. The heartfelt messages and colorful creations brought big smiles and warm wishes to residents. It was a meaningful opportunity to connect across generations and spread kindness in our community. We also had the opportunity to present to the Clover Park Rotary Club, where we highlighted our projects and community involvement while building connections with local leaders. As a result of that visit, the Rotary generously donated $500 to support our upcoming youth summit. We are very grateful for their partnership and investment in Lakewood's youth. To round off this month, Youth Council members volunteered at the annual First Lions Valentine's Day Crab Feed, where we were proud to support one of Lakewood's cherished community traditions and help make the event a success. From spreading kindness to serving at major events, our Youth Council continues to demonstrate leadership, service, and a strong commitment to Lakewood. At this time, I'd like to turn over to Nelia.
Hello. Hello. Good evening. My name is Neela Collins. I'm also an 11th grader at Lakes High School, and I'm honored to be here tonight and representing Lakewood Youth Council. During tonight's meeting, we had several exciting updates and opportunities for our members. First, 7 students submitted their paperwork to volunteer alongside college students from Cal State San Marcos to help build fences on the Habitat for Humanity project over the spring break, which starts the 21st. We're excited to see so many students willing to give up their time to help build homes and serve families of our community. Members were also presented with another volunteer opportunity, planting trees at the South Sound Wildlife Area on Monday, March 30th. This is another great way for students to give back while supporting environmental stewardship. We were also fortunate to have Rachel Timmons, our local teen librarian, to give a a presentation about the library and its youth programs, like our summer program and our volunteer program. She shared information about resources, activities, and opportunities available to teens in our community. To close the meeting, we assigned students facilitators for the drop-in skills stations at the April 18th Youth Summit. These stations will be co-facilitated by youth and adults. For reference, a list of the stations will be provided to each of you, which is on your desk. Our ask of you is that you know someone who might be a good fit for any of the categories and would maybe be interested in helping from noon to 2:30 on April 18th at the event. Please refer them to Ms. Shannon. And this concludes our presentation for tonight, and we are happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done. Deputy Mayor Bell has, I'm sure, a very important
List what
question.
Categories were, or is there a list of categories? Is that what this was? Okay. Two sides. So we're supposed to look at this and do what?
If you know anybody that might be interested or is interested in that topic, just refer them to Ms.
And
Shannon.
refer them to Ms. Shannon. Okay, awesome. Thank you. You guys are doing wonderful work. You're out there in the community. We really appreciate your representation and everything you guys do as a youth council. And I'm really looking forward to the youth summit. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad Deputy Mayor Bell asked that question because now we do know what this piece of paper is for. It's an extensive list. Okay, any other questions for the Youth Council? Okay, thank you very much. Next is the Clover Park School District report, and Ms. Janet Caldwell, the board member, and it's her turn this month. Welcome, Ms. Caldwell.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Boki, Deputy Mayor Bell, and City Council members. Yes, I'm Janet Caldwell. I am a school board director for the Clover Park School District in District 5. So a couple highlights, some great things going on, invitations forthcoming. We've had 2 board meetings recently, one on February 9th and the other on February 23rd. And one of the highlights at the first meeting was from Beechwood Elementary. They're doing some amazing things. So I don't know how you get to go and visit any schools. If you can go onto base and visit Beechwood, I think you would be amazed. We also, on a not so great note, we are facing uncertainty in the budget in terms of we're not sure what federal Title II, III, and IV funding is going to be cut or continued. And as a precautionary measure, at our next board meeting, there's going to be a presentation to reduce 4 positions, which are funded through those titles. And then we constantly are working on policies, and so we'll have those keep coming, nothing major. In terms of the district itself, we are working with, of course, community organizations to update the district's strategic work to support student learning and growth. And one thing that we're very proud of is our Purple Star Award District for our commitment to support military-connected families and students. We've experienced the highest graduation rate, 4-year graduation rate of 93.7%. We are working really hard on rigorous educational programming and strengthening our core instruction. I was able to witness the Flessner work. It's a math group, and they were over at Lake Louise on Friday, and I was thrilled to be in that room listening to the in-depth conversations the educators were going through about math and how you arrive at different explanations and why it's so important for students to be able to articulate the different ways in which they're able to solve a problem. So it was really good and very intense. I'm sorry I had to leave, but I only let you stay for so long. So they're still working on a middle school audit to strengthen the student achievement and learning there, and still working on career and college readiness, advanced placement, how that intersects with the International Baccalaureate Program and college in the high school and CTE courses, of course. So we have experienced clean audits. We have saved the taxpayers over $10 million in the last decade as we've refinanced our bonds. Very proud to say we had the highest level of levy approval rates in 20 years at 59.57%. Thank you, voters. And we are constantly conducting facility condition assessments. We have some of the oldest schools that are still looking great, but really have met their life expectancy. This coming up Saturday, I'm proud to say that there will be a STEAM fair at Harrison Prep and Four Heroes Elementary Schools, and everyone is welcome. You don't have to stay the whole time, of course, but it's open from 9 until 1 p.m. And it will include student projects and hands-on activities, demonstrations, and the person who won there's an 8th grader who won the STEAM Fair art contest. Her artwork is displayed on the event program, and that would be Melissa Kagi. Next week is Classified Employees Week, March 9 through 13, and we're celebrating our classified staff for their important contributions to creating the learning conditions and environments that we have in Clover Park. They serve in every department at every school, and they support education inside and outside the classroom. So we're very thankful for them. We are going to be having a budget workshop. I know, everybody's favorite topic. And that's going to be on Wednesday, March 11th at 5:30 at the Student Services Center. And so people who attend will learn about our budget process and how we use input and base the input and create priorities. It'll also be live streamed in case you're that person and you want to watch on YouTube. Me, I like being in person. So there will also be a community survey that launches right after that. We have a few drama students from Clover Park and Harrison Prep who received THESB awards for their performances. They earned the highest marks, excellent or superior, in multiple categories. And those who received excellent scores, they get to move on to the state competition. And superior rating scores receive the highest recognition possible, and they're eligible for national qualifiers. And they qualify for both the state showcase as well as the 2026 International Thespian Festival in June. And finally, just talking to you about our College and Career Summit supports that we have for students and families. We had nearly 100 students and families attend the College and Career Summit in February to explore opportunities after high school. It was hosted in partnership with Pierce College, and the event is technically considered, well, it has a job fair in it. There's informational presentations, and there are student and parent panels. And one of the other things that will be coming up that we are supporting is a financial aid night held by the district on April 15th to provide additional resources, including assistance in completing federal and state financial aid applications. If you haven't done that recently, it's such a fun thing to navigate, and it's very exciting that we can partner with people because it's not as fun as it sounds, or maybe you already get that. So anyway, if you have any questions that I could answer, here I am. Let me know. If I can't answer it here, I'll take it back to the experts.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. Do we have any questions for Ms. Caldwell? Apparently we don't.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you
the
and
opportunity.
all your employees and all the folks working so hard to educate our kids.
Thank you.
So next up is public comments, and they're accepted by mail, email, or live, virtual, or in-person comment. Send comments in advance by mail or email to Brianna Schumacher, City Clerk at 6000 Main Street, Southwest, Lakewood, Washington, 98499, or B. Schumacher at cityoflakewood.us. Comments received up to 1 hour before the meeting have been provided to the City Council electronically. The clerk will read the names of those who have submitted comments in advance. Ms. Schumacher, do we have any advanced comments?
Mayor, we received no written comments in advance of this evening's meeting.
Thank you. Members of the audience may comment on items relating to any matter related to city business under the public comments period. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Virtual comments. If you would like to provide live virtual public comments, you will need to join the Zoom meeting as an attendee by calling by telephone dial 1-253-215-8782 and enter meeting ID 868-7263-2373 or visit zoom.us and enter meeting ID 868-7263-2373. Upon entering the meeting, please enter your name. Use the raise hand feature to be called upon. For those participating by calling in by telephone, to use the raise hand feature, press *9 on your phone. When you're unmuted, please provide your name and city of residence. Outside of public comments, all attendees on Zoom will continue to have the ability to virtually raise your hand for the duration of the meeting, and you will not be acknowledged, and your microphone will remain muted except for when you are called upon. First of all, we'll call on people tonight. We'll call on people who are here in chambers. So and you don't have to sign in, but I'm going to work from the sign-in sheet. So let me know if you're interested in speaking. And then after that, anyone else who would like to speak is welcome to speak. So first we have Mr. Paul. Your name got covered up, your last name a little bit. Bryce. Thank you, Mr. Bryce. You've got 3 minutes.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. My name is Paul Bryce, 20-plus year resident of Lakewood. I'm a cannabis retailer. I own a couple shops, one in Clallam, one in Prosser. They're said to be the nicest in the Pacific Northwest, even kind of compared to the Meow Wolf of cannabis. I would like to talk about opening retail in Lakewood. It's been over a decade since the rollout of cannabis, and everyone who knows someone who uses edibles, a CBD mix, lotions, tinctures, or smoke. Even the zoos are talking about treating their animals there. We've now heard of interstate trade pact formed for when the descheduling of cannabis goes from a 1 to 3, and then more than likely we'll see it go to all the pharmacies or something first, so they realize that's just kind of silly and it should be treated no different than alcohol. You know, it's very clear cannabis is never going to go away. A strong majority of everyone, again, in Lakewood knows someone who partakes in cannabis. And how, with all the money that's being needed, how we don't have any of these stores open to allow for our residents to shop here or even partake in the taxation dollars. Or, you know, we have the cities like Steilacoom that has to drive past through Lakewood to get to Tacoma to go buy their cannabis. And then while they're there, they're going to shop at the restaurants. And same thing for UP, DuPont, Burcrest, like anywhere, depending where you live, it's kind of a convenience thing. And, you know, opening stores in different cities, it's clear how many people that travel from places that have ban or moratoriums that come into the cities, and while they're there, they shop and they spend their money. It almost seems neglect after 10 years. Clearly, it's not like opening up a pumpkin patch is going to bring ghosts and goblins. Like, there are ways to set up these stores where they're very, very safe, secure. We understand, you know, the taxation dollars aren't the best, but as far as, you know, I have 2 kids. One was president at Lakes High School. The other one went to out of the wilds, switched over to Oak Brook because his math and memory scores were just so high. I mean, kids are exposed to alcohol no matter where you go, and being Lakewood is, you know, even passing new ordinances to make consumption even easier for alcohol really seems ridiculous, considering marijuana is for sure the lesser of evils here. And, you know, again, as being adults, you know, everyone should be able to have their own decision, and that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryce. Next up would be Charlene Gates. Welcome, Ms. Gates. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sherilyn Gates, longtime resident of Lakewood. I'm just here to express my appreciation for the professionalism and bravery and restraint of the Lakewood Police Department. We had an incident this weekend where a car crashed at the end of the street. 4 young men ran out, had guns in their hands. The police came immediately after them. They had guns pointed at them and they did not shoot back. They showed amazing restraint. They handled these young men extremely well. They had ran down the lake. They came up, they ran around our house. I mean, they were like 8 feet from the window. I can see them. And these guys were amazing. They got those guys, they got the guns. I felt really safe. They came up to us and, kind of explained what happened. And I can only think, and it was your real time or your flock system that where they caught these guys that were in the stolen car. So I am going to say I am really happy because they came from Snohomish County. I know they obviously were not up to anything good with, AK rifles and Glocks and guns there. And I'm sure that they stopped some incident or something that was going to happen that really could have hurt or damaged someone. So they've been down there a few times, and I'm just saying they are really good. We are so appreciative of the people, of the officers of the Lakewood Police Department. So accolades to them. I wanted you to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gates. I think I saw that on social media somewhere. It was interesting footage. Next, Ms. Haley Ivy.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. I'm Haley Ivy, and I moved here a couple months ago. I was here a couple months last year, so I started exploring more of the parks in Lakewood. And I'm going to bring up the last point on the Seeley Lake Bulletin right in front of the trailhead. It tells you to value and protect wetlands. The other points, how can you help protect the Chambers Clover Creek watershed, which is what we're all on? This sign, this bulletin was posted well before 2020. You can make out by reading it. It asked for you to reduce paved surfaces, increase natural vegetation, preserve or restore natural vegetation next to streams, lakes, and the Puget Sound. When I visited the first time, the first noticeable thing was all of the sound from the semi-trucks and the school buses and everything on the other side of the street. That's fine. I think I should just walk further onto the trailhead. Not very far in, I see a rusted shopping cart sinking into the water on the side of the trail. I see a Taco Bell's bag, I see a Doritos bag, I see another shopping cart. I start to see trash big and small and litter. But the further I got onto the trail, I could hear the most birds I could hear at any point of being in Lakewood. So many birds, so many small creatures I noticed. It was a safe haven for wildlife. And when you look around on Google Maps anywhere around Seeley Lake, there's nothing completely green and open for this wildlife except for Seeley Lake. But the second time I go back, I see more shopping carts that showed up within several days from each other from the Hobby Lobby. Somebody came with me that's lived here for decades and pointed out how much of the trees and all of the native plants are overgrown with blackberries and something she told me, bugloss and ivy. But I still saw ducks swimming amongst all the trash. And when I was walking out, there was a useless garbage can, completely rusted out. It had a bike lock around one of the trees, and the tree kept growing, and that bike lock is just choking that tree. So she had used the word apocalyptic, and I bring this issue up because again, value and protect wetlands. It says it on the sign, it's said it there, and I would like to see more care given to our parks, because Lakewood is potentially a very beautiful place, but even Edgewater Park, I go to every day. I have been cleaning up the trash there, in order to keep it not smelling bad, which it will get that bad if I let the garbage overgrow. And, yeah, I'm gonna keep honing in on Silly Lake for now because what I really want is attention and care given to this park by cleaning it out, pulling out all of the invasive plants, and giving these animals and the people that live in this watershed a better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Ivy. Next speaker is Ms. Christina Minetti.
We realize it's Pierce County that's responsible for that lake. So I have two comments. The first is from me as a person. I'm Christina Minetti, Lakewood. I'd like to tell you about the serious and ongoing problems with the city's new permit portal sold to the city by Clarity. It was launched in June of last year, so it's not actually that new anymore. At this point, the city should be asking for its money back. What was presented as a modern, improved system, supposedly, has turned out to be a complete disaster as far as I can tell. While I understand that state law does not require the city to provide documents through an online portal, the system you have implemented is effectively impossible to use. It goes in circles, like it tells you to do something and then it goes back to the place where you were already and like you can't get anywhere. And then anyway, it provides no accessible list of documents and it makes it impossible to download materials that were readily available in the prior Lakewood permitting systems. I think I was already familiar with two other ones before this. Under the previous portals, members of the public could locate a project and then see the clear list of associated documents and then download them directly. And that basic transparency is now gone. Planner Billy Stewart advised me to go to the permitting desk for personalized instruction. So I did that because I couldn't access documents, so I went. And the person who was there behind the desk, she ultimately told me that she couldn't use it either. So she went to get Angie Silva, who brought me into her office, asked what I needed, and listened politely. In the end, she also said she couldn't access the documents through the portal, the public-facing portal, and told me I would need to submit a public records request. She gave me the documents. She sent them immediately, but that's not like the usual procedure. So, a member of the public can, wait for weeks or even months when you request public records. One would hope that it wouldn't be that long. Maybe it's okay sometimes if it's not urgent, but it's not acceptable when residents need timely access to documents about active development projects. RCW 4256080 requires that public records be made available for inspection and copying during customary office hours. Yet staff indicated they may not always have time to provide documents in person and urged me to submit formal requests instead. This is not merely inconvenient. It undermines public trust. After many months of dysfunction, it begins to look less like a glitch and more like an obstacle to transparency. So in the interest of restoring confidence, I urge you, the members of the City Council, to require or urge, or I don't know, pressure the vendor to fix the system and to revert to the prior portal until it's fully functional. This is just a bad look otherwise, like seriously. Okay, and here's a comment I'm giving on behalf of the Gary Oak Coalition. I'd like to draw your attention to a serious obstacle to Gary Oak conservation here in Lakewood. Lakewood seems to be failing in its duty to ensure that buyers and developers know when a property contains protected Gary Oaks. While we hope we are wrong, Lakewood's shocking Gary Oak loss in recent years suggests otherwise. Recently, we had two stark examples. At Meadow and Custer, an owner wants to subdivide, or rather he got the approval already to subdivide a single lot into 9 parcels, a plan that would almost certainly require eventually removing a large protected Gary Oak. Were they told that this oak is protected? Were they advised that any development must be designed around it? I'd like to meet with people to find out what actually people are told, because I'm just speculating based on what I see, that I don't think people know. And Some property owners have told me that they didn't even know what it was. They didn't know the name of the tree, they had no clue. On Moreland, in Moreland Avenue or Road, I'm not quite sure what it is, in Lake City, there's a 4.4 acre lot that has about 30 Gary oaks. Are buyers being told these trees must be preserved? All we heard from the real estate agent was, well, someone will have to do their due diligence. But how does anyone do due diligence if they don't know an oak is protected? I mean, they don't even know it's an oak. Some people don't even know that a Douglas fir is a Douglas fir. So if no one tells them, how are they going to know to do anything? So without disclosure, buyers plan projects that break the law and destroy irreplaceable habitat. Of course, the city will step in, I hope, and tell them you can't do this because it's breaking the law. It seems that owners and developers only find out, though, when they actually submit plans to do something. This isn't a minor oversight. Under the Growth Management Act, there can be no net loss of critical areas. WDFW science is clear. West of the Cascades, large Gary oaks must not be cut, except for stand enhancement. Yet in Lakewood, rare oaks are left vulnerable because sellers and agents are not required to inform buyers, I guess. If there's a steep slope, yes, I know. If it's a wetland, yes, I know. But really, the Gary oaks, I think it's not so clear, right? It's a failure of both policy and ethics. Other cities, Portland, San Jose, Olympia, they already require disclosure of protected natural features. Lakewood must do the same. Disclosure is not just paperwork, it's a moral obligation. It prevents avoidable destruction and protects buyers from surprises. And of course, it ensures that the city actually honors its stated goals of protecting habitat. The city has the authority and the duty to make disclosure mandatory through code amendments, combined with outreach to real estate professionals. You guys on the city council, speak for the oaks because they cannot speak for themselves. It's your moral duty. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Minetti. Next up is Abraham Marjalidi.
Hello, good evening. You know me, so I'm Abraham Mir Jalili, a resident of the city of Lakewood. And hello to everyone else. I'm going to continue with the issue that I have been in the last couple of sessions talking about. I was just glancing over the expenses of the city. One of the items that it came to my attention, not that I haven't seen it before, was what is the issue that is going to come up is the payroll for $3,181,225.22 for the month of January 16 to February 15. That was a payroll. Well, I understand that this payroll, much of it goes to city attorneys and also to the city engineers. These people, they're specialized about the law and also maps, because especially the city engineers, that's what they deal with all day long, I guess. Considering that, my problem is that I don't know why the city never rejected our request to the judge, that the judge, not us, to appoint 3 independent, neutral land surveyor that we would not know them, and that they could look at these and advise the judge and the court. That was our request. We, of course, had 3 land surveyors who objected to the city's land surveyor. The surveyor, of course, he had recorded a map that he has listed in his unrecorded map that he came up with later, that is dated 12/04/2023. That map was recorded in 2020. As I mentioned last time, the initial map that is recorded, assuming that is correct, although we know it is not when it's compared to the a plat map of Clinton, what it is about in part, the Edgewater Drive supposedly believes that's where it is. Well, we say, okay, if that's where it is, then the midline of the block 32 of the Clinton addition at the share boundary of lot number 8 and 9, which is south of our, shouldn't be any more than 108. Thank you very much. We'll talk about it later.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marjolini. Are there any other individuals here in chambers who would like to speak? Please, you've got 3 minutes. Please introduce yourself and you've got 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. My name is Mark Hare. I'm a Lakewood resident. I'm also a small business owner. My business operates out of Thurston County, and we're currently exploring moving into the Pierce County market. We've been several years members of the Lakewood Chamber of Commerce, and as we think about expanding our operations into Pierce County, I've sought conversations and guidance from other owners that are already here and what their experiences have been with doing business in Lakewood in general and blending that with my own experiences. And I just want to express my appreciation for historically the good relationship that, while not perfect, no relationship is ever perfect, there has been a good relationship between the city of Lakewood and the Lakewood Chamber of Commerce. And I just would hope we've seen a fair amount of change on the council. And I would hope that as we continue to move forward into fiscal 26 and beyond, that relationship that has been established continues to evolve and not regress. And that when big decisions are on the table for discussion, there is a proactive reach out to the chamber for a conversation so that we can help provide the perspective of the business community in your decision-making process and what may be unintended impacts of your deliberations might be that you as a body may not be able to see as clearly as maybe some of the members of the chamber. So I just want to say thank you for that relationship, and I look and hope and pray that it continues to stay as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Are there any other comments from anybody here?
I'm going to try something new here. My name's John Burns, and I'm a resident of Lakewood, Washington. And I'm actually a proud resident. I've grown to become attached to the city. And it's like any place. We got our ups, our downs, and people have different opinions on this and that, and I can respect the differences. My background is that of a business owner, 26 years, retail and service industry. So, what's important to me is over the span of that work, it was hard to make a living. It was tough. And it wasn't just me that made the living. It was me and all the people that worked for me, the good employees, the ones who pulled me out of the trouble many times, the ones who had ethics sometimes that was greater than mine, and in hindsight, I learned and I was a little ashamed of some of my actions. But anyway, it was a process of learning, and the money, it was just tough to make. So I'm sensitive to how businesses and governments spend funding. And I'm really trying to look at how everyone can win with the money that comes into Lakewood, because, we all pay taxes. And it is important to appreciate that people like you and me and all the rest of us pay into the coffers of the city. So I'm sensitive to that. So that kind of drives some of my actions. And for example, we've got Sometimes we get into legal disputes, and my goodness, it's really expensive to hire attorneys to do this and that. And I would imagine the city's bill for, going to court sometimes runs into millions of dollars every year. And so finding ways that we can solve these problems at a lower level and without having to go to court, to me, is important because it makes sense. Let's spend our money as well as we can. So I'm all for communication and increasing the communication here within the city. And I have ultimate respect for the people who work day in and day out to do that. I think there's some structural things that make communication kind of difficult. The city council doesn't have a lot of time to do their job, and they're asked to do quite a bit. And they're totally reliant on the city for providing good information so that they can make good decisions. So that's an area to work on. And then there's the other areas is like how we relate to each other, right? I have friends on all sides of the fence, and I want to do a better job at being friendly and nice. So thank you. I think that's what works well.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Burns. Is there anybody else here in chambers that would like an opportunity to speak to the council tonight? Anybody else? Okay. So we're going to move to online. Ms. Schumacher, I thought I saw one hand up earlier. Is that Mr. Dunlop?
James Dunlop.
Mr. Dunlop, introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me okay?
We can.
My name is James Dunlop, and I'm a resident of Lakewood. So we were talking about this 900-year-old oak tree. I think a lot of people were impressed by its age and the fact that, this tree was alive at the time of Genghis Khan, and that seemed to be, a very good reason why this tree shouldn't be cut down, that it's part of Lakewood's history. But it had to get there. It had to get to be 900 years old. It started off as a seedling 900 years ago. I mean, nearly a millennium ago, and so it does go through sort of different stages. And I know it's easy to get sentimental just about large oak trees, but if you just focus on larger oak trees, the ones that are 900 years old, what about the smaller oak trees? These are, and as we know, an oak tree takes a huge amount of time to get to maturity. I mean, it takes several hundred years. And so, you might take the view, oh, well, we can cut down the smaller oak trees, ones that maybe are only 100 years old or 200 years old. We can cut them down, but we've got to focus on the larger ones. But if you look at Lakewood, I know this is difficult, but if you look at Lakewood in the future, and I'm not just talking about next 20 years, if you look at the next few centuries, and I think one should look at the next few centuries. Indeed, we're talking about almost a millennium. I mean, I know people don't do it like that. People don't think about the long distance future. People find it difficult to think beyond their own mortality. But, I think, I was pointed out to me that there are some, spindly little oak trees on Steilacoom Park, which, they seem to be very small and perhaps dispensable, but it actually took several hundred years for them to get that way. So if you're talking about protecting oak trees and maybe venerating oak trees, it's not just out of some sort of historical sentimentality. It's about maintaining the natural environment. These oaks are a keystone species, and you have to think, how many oak trees are in Lakewood of all ages? How many oak trees were in Lakewood, say, 50 years ago? It seems that the oak canopy in Lakewood is shrinking very fast. It's not an endangered species. It should be an endangered species. The species only becomes endangered when there's only about 2 of them left. I mean, that seems to be the way it works. So I think that the city and the city council should bear that in mind. The Garry oaks are a special species, and they need to be protected at all stages of their lifestyle, at all stages of their life cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunlop. Are there any other folks who are online? Ms. Schumacher?
Mayor, there are no other virtual hands raised at this time.
Thank you. So with that, I will close public comment and we will move on to the consent agenda. Ms. Schumacher.
Consent agenda A, approval of the minutes of the city council study session of February 9th, 2026. B, approval of the minutes of the city council meeting of February 17th, 2026. C, approval of claims vouchers in the amount of $3,746,613.02 for the period of January 16th, 2026 through February 13th, 2026. D, approval of payroll checks in the amount of $3,181,225.22 for the period of January 16th, 2026 through February 15th, 2026. E, motion number 2026-17, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Civil Air Engineers PLLC in the amount of $950,000 for downtown subarea transportation feasibility study. F, motion number 2026-18, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Pacific Rim Talent in the amount of $52,350 for special event entertainment. G, motion number 2026-19, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Cascade Right-of-Way Services in the amount of $79,835 for real estate negotiation services related to the Mount Tahoma Interlock into Whitman project. H, motion number 2026-20, authorizing the award of a construction contract to RL Aliaco in the amount of $1,780,137 for the Custer Road Bridgeport to 75th project. I, items filed in the office of the city clerk. 1, Lakewood's Promise Advisory Board meeting minutes of January 8th, 2026. 2, Planning Commission meeting minutes of January 21, 2026. And 3, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting minutes of January 27th, 2026.
Thank you, Ms. Schumacher. Is there any item that any member of the council item or items that they would like pulled from the agenda? Councilmember Talbot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull item E.
Item E is going to be pulled off. So that is motion number 2026-17, authorizing the execution of agreement with Civil Air Engineers PLLC in the amount of $950,000 for a downtown subarea transportation feasibility study. So we will pull that off and we'll take that up after we do this. Are there any other items that members of the council would like pulled from the consent agenda? Okay, with that, I will move to adopt the consent agenda. Any other comments? Do you have a second that? And do I have a motion a second? Thank you. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The consent agenda is approved. So, could we get a motion on item, motion number 2026-17?
I will move to approve.
Hmm?
I will,
Do you have a second?
questions on the item, but I will move to approve.
Second. Second. We have a motion and moved and seconded on motion number 2026-17. Councilmember Talbot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had just one question. So for clarification's sake, I did send some questions to city manager prior to the meeting, just for clarification on my own. I'd like to thank staff for responding to those questions. I just, number one, look forward to getting this study going, and I look forward to what this team can provide. And thank you for clarifying the questions that I asked in my written email. The only reason I pulled this item today is just to get clarification on page 82 of the packet, the scope of under the public participation task. There is an item in there that sounds like it will allow for the formation of an advisory committee, and that the consultant will work with the city to define the membership. I just wanted to ask staff or the city manager, how are you looking to council for input on who should be the makeup for that advisory committee? And when are you looking for that feedback?
Thank you, Councilmember. Angie Silva, Assistant Director of Planning and Public Works. The concept associated with that is to be more of a task force members, because this is downtown. So members of the business community that support businesses, member technical. So we're talking about multimodal infrastructure investments. So Pierce Transit, Sound Transit would be key stakeholders to that group discussion, as well as residents within that downtown area. In addition to that, it's also about accessibility, environmental justice, and reduction of greenhouse gas. So there's a lot of other technical elements of it. Conceptually, we are not unlike the natural environment advisory board that this body will be bringing forward for another discussion next week. We're looking at more of an ad hoc, because this is not a permanent group, more of a task force to talk about different concepts of developing multimodal level of service, what that is, what it currently the experience is downtown and the transportation, what it's today, and sharing some of those conceptual designs of what it could look like in the future of that. So different components of that, running that through, I would say no more than 8 task force members to be reasonable, manageable, and to get feedback at selected inputs. Those details would be prepared as part of the draft public participation plan that once we get kicked off is something we'll be diving deep with the sub-consultants really quickly. So give us about 3 weeks to get that drafted.
Great, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. And I'm happy to hear that, because I think unlike the NEC committee where we spoke about potentially utilizing the planning commission, I think in a study as specialized and as technical, and I think as big for the city like this, that we really do need to have participants at the table that are, like you mentioned, the transit agency, even property owners, and those businesses. It's just, we really do need a step up, I think, in participation from the businesses that are affected in the downtown.
Give us a little bit of time to put that draft public participation plan together, and we'll work with the city manager on next steps and having a conversation with this body.
Thank you very much. And that was really my only question. And then I just wanted to leave you, staff, with two thank you type of comments. Thank you for including in this scope some investigation and development of the high injury network. I've been commenting on that. That is the type of analysis that citywide I think we need. At least the downtown plan is a starting point. If we can, however, we can look to obtain a holistic picture for the city network will benefit us as well. And also thank you for including scope in here about developing multimodal level of service strategies, or however that's going to form out, so that we have policies that give us some better teeth in either in code and or policy, and as we, if possible, be able to tie those policies to our impact assessments. So thank you, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Talbot. Any other comments from any other members tonight? Just so everybody knows, this is a federal grant that came through the state of Washington, and actually the city manager and I and Mr. Vargas spoke with Congresswoman Strickland just last week about this grant. It's long anticipated. We call it the Green Street Loop project. It's a raised grant rebuilding American infrastructure with sustainability and equity. So it's the beginning of that, and it's been long awaited. We've waited quite some time for this grant to work its way through. We were, I think, offered the grant. We were approved for the grant quite some time ago, and we've been waiting and waiting and waiting just to begin the planning of this. And this is really an important step in trying to make a more walkable and usable downtown downtown core. So with that, I will just do a voice vote here, I guess. I'm looking at this. All those in favor of approving motion number 2026-17 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. It is approved. Thank you very much, Ms. Silva. I guess we're going to need you here in a few minutes, though. So we are on to the regular agenda, ordinance number 846. Can I get somebody, I'd like to read it into the record for, or at least get it moved and seconded first before we start. We have Ms. Silva speak.
Ordinance number 846, amending engineering development regulations, including engineering standards manual, Lakewood Municipal Code Titles 12 and 13, and Chapter 18A20.
Thank you very much. Do we have I'd like to have a move and seconded before Ms. Silva speaks.
I move to adopt ordinance 846.
Second. It has been moved and seconded, ordinance number 846. So we have here the Planning and Public Works Assistant Director, Ms. Angie Silva, to speak to this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. This night is scheduled for action, as I mentioned previously, ordinance number 846, as it relates to amending engineering development regulations, including the city's engineering standards manual, Lakewood Municipal Code Titles 12, 13, as well as Chapter 18A20. This is following a public hearing by this body, as well as a study session to go over in great detail some of those proposed amendments. I do not have a formal presentation tonight, Mayor, about the contents of the amendments. I think we covered that in much detail at the study session, but I'm happy if there's remaining questions before this body takes a vote to answer those.
Thank you, Ms. Silva. We may have some questions from some folks tonight. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Silva or anybody else in Planning and Public Works on this rather extensive ordinance number 846?
I don't have questions, but if there is discussion, I do have comments.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Silva, there are no questions, so we will go to council member comments on ordinance number 846. Councilmember Talbot.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So when this item came to us, I want to say at the beginning of February, I did have some questions and, or at least I thought I did, having read through the red lines and strikeouts, and particularly what I was really kind of picking at in my sausage making thoughts in that meeting is really the code on page 265 of our packet that has to do with, or excuse me, I'm sorry, 264 of our packet, section 12.05.240. And it's not so much concern. I think where I'm coming from is that overall, the code as we have it now allows us to vacate, to use the process of vacations on public street ends, on public streets abutting water, seemingly as a way to clean up encroachments. And however, I recognize that in this text, there is also the process for resolution that declares whether a vacation can happen. And I think that, let me back up. What I'm not going to do tonight is propose additional red lines and strikeouts on top of what we have before us, because I don't want to get into sausage making here. I think that we need additional discussion about that particular topic in this particular section. And the discussion that I would like to see happen, whether it's perhaps maybe a council retreat or or at a later time is how we get to the process of resolution such that all public access on all, so that we are being very clear that public access is not to be vacated, but that we deal with encroachments by a process of permitting instead. And true, we do have a process of permitting, but specifically to how we deal with rights of way abutting the water and the shoreline, I think deserves some specific and additional discussion that is very clear so that we're not using vacations to take care of problems that we're, if necessary, we're recognizing encroachments by going through a permit process that allows them to be there through that end, and I think that there are advantages for the city to do that. So I don't want to get into that discussion here, but I wanted to draw some clarification to what I was trying to say at the last meeting. So I hope that provides some clarity to my colleagues and also to staff. But I will support this. I will support the item before us tonight so that staff can have what they need, the tools that they need to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Talbot. Are there any other comments from council members? Councilmember Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just would like to commend staff for an excellent job on putting together this robust 300-page packet of code. So I think you guys did a great job. It provides a lot of clarity and usability. So I think that it's going to be a big benefit for everyone using it, staff and public alike. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Pearson. Are there any other comments? Okay, we'll just do this by voice vote. All those in favor of ordinance number 846 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. The ayes have it. Ordinance number 846 is adopted. Mr. City Manager, is there any unfinished business? There's always unfinished business in city government. This is some official unfinished business. Is there any official unfinished business?
Not on the agenda tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there any new business?
Not on the agenda tonight, Your Honor.
Now let's go to reports by the city manager.
Yeah, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, coming up at next week's study session, we'll have a review of the Sound Transit project, the Kendrick Street at 30% design. And really that's just furthering along this, the station work that's part of the Sound Transit efforts. We have a lot of work coming up and we'll kind of go over some of that as part of this. Just we're gonna have a lot in a fairly short period of time to finish up through there. So that'll be kind of kicking off some of those more specific. Now granted, 112 is part of that as well, but just to show that timeline for these different projects. We'll also have a review of an ordinance on next week's agenda. That follows from the end of last year where we talked about House Bill 2015 or 2015 related to the 1/10 of a 1% local sales tax. That was brought up the end of last year in relation to the impact that the Supreme Court decision had on indigent defense and defense requirements and the impact that that would have in furthering the costs related to that. We had further discussion that would come back up this quarter, so we'll bring that up. So two fairly big items on the March 9th study session. Just a few items for events for these next 2 weeks. On Thursday, the Oak Brook Neighborhood Association neighborhood meeting. On Friday, we had the discussion of the Clover Park Rotary event. On Saturday is Multicultural Gala. Next Tuesday, the 10th, is the Telecom Neighborhood Association meeting, and on the 12th is the Lake City Neighborhood Association meeting. And that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the city manager? All right. We'll now move on to council member comments. Councilmember Laura Sella.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple updates. On the 19th of February, I attended the Community Services Advisory Board meeting, and that was my first time being there in person, and I really appreciated the passion that our community members have, members of that board. They're really focused on the application process for grants, and I think they're moving in the right direction to get that cleaned up. I did notice we got the notice or the information about the youth summit coming up in April. That is the same day as our council retreat, so it'll be hard to be two places at once. So I'm not sure if there's any way to manage that. I'm guessing probably not at this point. So more to come on that. I wanted to thank Councilmember Talbot for her words on right-of-ways and potentially permitting instead of vacating. I think that's going to be a really important topic at our retreat, and I look forward to the dialogue we'll all have there. I am going to try and make it to the STEM or STEAM fair on Saturday at Harrison Prep and Four Heroes. And then afterwards we have the LMCC Gala. So hopefully I'm not stealing Deputy Mayor Bell's fire, as she will likely speak on it, but looking forward to that. It's always a fun event and it raises money for really good things. Last, I just want to give a shout out to the folks working on the Nyanza project. It's still moving along steadily. I saw some new sidewalks today on the east side of the road, so that was good to see. And then I also want to thank the city manager for updating the website that gives the status on that project today. It looks like it's moving right along and should hopefully finish beginning of April. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Laura Sella. Councilmember Talbot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did attend the AAPC event at the Tacoma Dome on Saturday. It was packed, and which was great. And then later I found out that it was at capacity. So that's how popular that event is, and I was happy to be there for Lakewood to, support our API and multicultural population here in Lakewood. I also attended the the Fort Silicon Neighborhood Association meeting at Idlewild Elementary School. And I want to give a shout out to the Lakes High School Key Club, who sent members there to help serve ice cream and volunteer. They were actually kind of our little hosts for the event in a way. And they did a great job, and they were actually, a couple of members remarked that they were pleased to be there and they liked feeling appreciated by adults that talk to them like adults. And it was a good moment. That event also was a forum for the Pierce County Charter Review candidates. And so it was, I think not much of a discussion, but a feedback session. And so that went pretty well, actually. Also, I wanted to say kudos, a nice job to our construction management services staff, our public works staff. I've driven on Interlochen. It's relatively open. It may have been for some time and I just figured it out lately, but I know that project started around August, September, and here we are, and we went through some pretty heavy rainfall this season and it looks really good. So I look forward to seeing the final striping, but the sidewalks look great, the pavement feels great. And so congratulations on getting through a project very smoothly. From what I could tell, I don't think we heard from residents here, so good job. And then I think that's it. I will see you all at the Multicultural Gala this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Talbot. And if I knew they were serving ice cream,
It was advertised.
I might have gone. We need to watch the menu a little bit more carefully. Councilmember Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the public comments that we got today, and I guess I maybe should have asked this on city manager comment, but I thought that, I mean, the Gary Oaks are a critical area, and so they should be mapped in GIS as a critical area. So if folks would be aware of this on their About My Property and things like that. Can you, I guess, maybe look into that and clarify?
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that.
Thanks. Yeah, let's see. The last couple of weeks, we had some busy weeks. Enjoyed our day down in Olympia, meeting with our delegations down there. Gave some thanks for folks supporting the H-Barn project. Also had some asks on additional funding for indigent defense as potentially part of the millionaire's tax. There's maybe some funding there. So we asked about that. And then also had just some comments for most of the delegates really on the housing codes, and we've had just an overwhelming amount of new state laws passed with respect to housing and density, and we don't even have a time for the city to kind of realize any of it, or and also, they're asking us to do much of this without providing any additional funding for city staff to take on these packages. So we just expressed some concerns on that, and if there's anything that they can do to slow it down a bit so we can actually kind of see where the dust settles, that would be great. Went to the Downtown Neighborhood Association meeting and had a great presentation on code enforcement by Mr. Gum. And I think that folks were very intrigued by that presentation, kind of seeing, the work in action and seeing blighted properties that have been eyesores actually getting cleaned up and kind of understanding the process. So I thought that was a good presentation to give to folks to kind of, they can touch and feel and see what's going on there. So I thought that was a good use. Had PSRC last week, nothing really actionable to report there. And then PRAB also last week. And the PRAB meeting, the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting, kind of went over broadly a number of different park improvements and kind of statuses on where things are at. So if you're curious or anyone's curious about the status on parks, last meeting would be a good one to go back and rewatch and kind of get a download on that. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Pearson. Councilmember Lindholm.
Yeah, as we're hearing, lots of good activities happening recently coming up. Really enjoyed my time in Olympia with Councilmember Pearson and Mayor Boki. Likewise, at the Just Serve event with the LDS Church, seeing food delivered to real families here in Lakewood, that's incredibly impactful. EFN has reached out, said if council ever wants to tour or if we ever want a meeting hosted, they would love to be part of that. Like Councilmember Laura Sella, really appreciated what was being done at the Community Services Advisory Board. They are working hard. They're working really hard. They're paying attention to detail. It's really inspiring. Coming up, this is a great week. Kiwanis tomorrow, Clover Park Rotary on Wednesday, Shape on Friday, Lakewood Rotary Friday, multicultural event on Saturday, and looking forward to Councilmember Talbot and Deputy Mayor Bell joining me for the Normal Heart coming up at Lakewood Playhouse. If you haven't seen it, please go. It's an incredible, moving, life-changing play. Really appreciate a public comment tonight. I like seeing members of the Chamber of Commerce in chambers, so hope to hear from them more. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Lindholm. Deputy Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, I think everyone's really gone over mostly everything that is happening in the city and all of the thank yous. So I want to reiterate just a couple things. I think Councilmember Lindholm, how you mentioned that our Chamber of Commerce people were here and they made some comments, which I think was very, very valuable. Also, I also want to thank Councilmember Talbot for your comments about vacating and taking a deeper look on that. I think that's very poignant and something that we really need to pay some attention to. So I appreciate that a lot. Going down my list real quick, let's see. Let's see. I want to thank our youth council. They're doing amazing work. I was looking at the list of categories that we were all kind of a little bit lost on. There's some great stuff on there. I see a lot of people that I think that we could give Shannon some names and to really help them out. And I hope that we can figure out the situation. So we could do both. I don't know. Between the council retreat and the youth summit. So
So we're set for the retreat on
Yeah.
that day.
so we can't participate in the youth summit.
We've not scheduled an agenda yet for it, but it's pretty much set
Yeah,
to go from
okay.
like 8 to 5
Okay.
for us.
Okay. And then I wanted to thank also on some more public comment. I really appreciate people coming and telling us the great things that we're doing as a city. I mean, that's wonderful to hear about our PD. That's not a good situation, but it's wonderful reaction that and what the outcome was from PD. So appreciate hearing that, hearing about construction on Nyanza. Yes, I'm over there too. My husband asks me, when is this? So I'm going to say end of April all the time because it's too far to get from our house to Clover Park, apparently, the high school. So thank you guys for all your work on that and also with the code that we just went over. So I appreciate all of that also. And I will be at the Lakewood Multicultural event this weekend, so I'm happy to see everybody there and also attending and supporting the Lakewood Playhouse. Really excited to see that, going to some shows there. So that's it. Oh, and congratulations to Clover Park Timberwolves, the basketball team. They made it pretty far. They made it almost to state, so appreciate that. So yay. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bell. So just to recap, because it's been a while since we've met, I think our meetings with the state legislative delegation were fruitful. We do, I believe, are on the capital list for some dollars to help us with the H barn. And as time has gone on and bills have dropped off, the number of bills have dropped off that we were concerned about. There's still some issues. I think we're receiving information from people from the city of Kent who have kind of taken the lead on some of these items, and we appreciate that. So we'll work through that. They're looking at the budget now, and there have been some changes in the midst of it, and the millionaire's tax is sitting out there. I was in a presentation today and it's not clear where this whole thing's going. We had the honor walk, which I thought was very nice with the Nisqually tribe. They did a very nice job of putting it together. They had their horses out there. And it was a good day to do it. And there were a lot of folks there. And people come from far and wide actually to go on that walk and do that. So I appreciate, or I think we as a city appreciate the Nisqually tribe doing that. Caring for Kids auction was great. Thank you for coming. Councilmember Lindholm mentioned the America 250 food delivery by the LDS Church. Really great event. I think an inspired event. You can go online and look and see all these places around the country getting all this food from the church. It's just really a great deal. So, and then Mr. Vargas and myself and Mr. Russell met with Congresswoman Strickland, and I think we had a fruitful discussion. I think she's very engaging and she came from local government, so she gets local government. She understands what we do and our trials and tribulations, and she's very well aware of it, and I was very impressed. I should have known, right? She's been in local government. She was mayor of Tacoma for a while and really does understand things. We talked at some length about our capital ask from her, our federal ask, which is for the H barn, which would go a long way towards really helping us get the H barn built. But we need to remember, once federal money comes in, we better darn well build those barns. I mean, so we really, and she reminded us of that too, which I appreciated. She said, well, okay, so you're going to do it then. And the answer is yes, we are right away. And so, when we're making asks like that, it's important that, when you make asks to the legislature and to Congress people, in my world, in my mind, and you are making a commitment to go forward with that. So, and we've got discussions surrounding that and how that's going to look. But if we're going to go forward with that ask, we're going to have to go forward with that project. So, and I know we're going to have some discussions around that. So with that, I think I'm done. So we will move on to the next item. By the way, I know we just kind of take it for granted that members will go to all these events. I really do appreciate you going to all these different events and divide and conquer, because it really allows us then to have downtime, right, for this part-time job. So I really do appreciate that everyone's taking cracks at things and getting out there and going to events. It's really good effort, and it's very, very helpful. The City Council recess into executive session for approximately 15 minutes pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, paragraph 1, subparagraph I, to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. The City Council is not expected to take action following the executive session other than to adjourn the meeting. So 15 minutes we need? Okay, so we're gonna we will be back at 8:45. Thank you.